Genes can load the gun, but the environment pulls the trigger. And that's true really for just about everything, but also true, of course, when it comes to picky eating. They're exposed to a limited set of foods. So exposure is a big driver in how kids learn to eat, right? There is not one single picky eating gene. So let's talk about some of the genes that could be at play. And I'll tell you the biggest one first, which is the MTHFR gene mutation. Eating can actually literally be physically hard to do. And here's the kicker. The foods that help support the B vitamins in your body are often the exact foods that your picky eater is probably avoiding. Leafy greens, beans, lentils, meats. So some kids are literally wired to taste foods differently. So one example is a gene called the TAS2R38 gene. It makes bitter flavors taste stronger. There's another gene called the DAO gene. It affects histamine breakdown in your immune system. If it's a little sluggish and it's not breaking things down, foods like tomatoes, cheese, chocolate could cause tummy pain, flushing, some upset stomach. If eating hurts, most kids are going to stop eating. Imagine being a newborn trying to nurse, but your tongue can't extend properly. You can't get a good latch. Babies adapt however they can, but sometimes that leads to swallowing a lot of air, getting reflux, falling asleep exhausted before they've had enough to eat. But the brain at that young, very, very young infant age learns at a subconscious level that food is struggle, food is hard. That's why in my practice, we don't just look at how many foods a kid is eating. We really have to look at the whole child. We look at their oral motor skills, their gut health, sensory sensitivities, and when relevant, genes. For MTHFR, there's some facial features that are different. There is dark circles that could form under the eye or like a bluish tint under the eyes. There's also a bluish vein that can be more prominent on the bridge of the nose. Working with a specialist really matters. You don't have to guess whether it's sensory, genetic, gut, oral motor. You know, when we do our mealtime roadmap, our Unlocking Mealtimes roadmap, we try to break this down for you. And here's my advice. If you don't want to guess, then just get tested. If your pediatrician won't order it, find somebody who will. In fact, your body can't even use folic acid. It builds up in your system and causes more harm. Doctors can be well-meaning, but they don't get nutrition training and they're not studying every gene mutation. So you need to be educated and advocate for your child. And it's why specialists exist, okay? And this is exactly why I call myself a holistic feeding therapist, because it's so much more than how many foods they're eating or whether they'll take a bite of broccoli at dinner, right? When we look at feeding challenges, we're not just looking at their behavior, but here's what's for certain. With the right support, they do not have to stay stuck as a picky eater.